All right, welcome back. What a crazy day today. Not only did we hit 370 points plus on NQ, SPX calls with over 600% returns. What an amazing day in the markets. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how you could have taken those trades and reaped the benefits. We are talking about massive moves that could have earned you a lot of profit. So, yeah, let's jump right in. This is the NQ chart. I'm actually going to be starting on this today. NQ futures was my primary. SPX was kind of just a secondary thought after I saw the first move. But yeah, so we're looking at NQ here. We can see yesterday's price action in the New York session. But look at this move. Look at this. We've got the Asian session, just kind of like a small retracement and then consolidation straight into the London session. And from there, it was pretty much nothing but up. We had, I believe it was CPI today for a nice little, I call it the Darth Maul candle, but a little indecision there, right? But we did not go lower. That to me kind of sung the praises of going up. And man, did we ever. Measuring this out today, if you would have been here during the open, with this open range candle right here is the opening price all the way up 340 points from the open. I think from the low, we were actually looking at, it was about 375 points, give or take. Right, that is insane. Almost a 400-point move on the day on NQ. Let me bump this down a little bit. We're going to jump to the 5 minute. The 5 minute is one of my favorite time frames. I'm actually going to go ahead and remove the sessions here. We know where the market opened, right? So looking here, you can see that at 9:30, the first 5 minute candle tucked down and shot up. At any point, you could have gotten into this, and I'm actually going to go ahead and draw a little picture here, a little box for us, just for reference, so that I can jump into the 1 minute time frame. And let's take a look over here. So once the market opened, right here on this red candle, the market opened, shot down into this consolidation and CPI candle wick, and from there it did not stop. You could have gotten in at any point here, but just let's stop for example for a moment, and let's just say you got in here. Right. Let's just say that at this candle close, we got a huge red candle and then the hard push up, and let's just say that you got in here somewhere. I'm not even going to set the stop loss for now. Let's just say that you had a, whatever the case is on the stop loss. But even if you would have aimed for the CPI highs today, you were talking about a $1,200 move on a single NQ contract. If you decided to move with the market and just like move your stop loss into profit from the moment she went. I'm talking about going up. This candle went up, it closed. We're on a 5 minute chart. Assuming you had put your stop loss down here, it would have been a little bit of a heavy stop loss, right? If you were to try to go to the bottom, but even so, $600 is not bad. That's a one to what is that? A 1 to 2, not bad at all. But check this out. So assuming you would have moved your stop loss into profit, you never would have seen it. It never would have hit. You could have just held all day. We're talking about a $6,800 day at the high. Doesn't mean you gotta, nobody can predict the top, but on multiple occasions, let's say you got in here $6,700 and it stayed here. It came down, it came back. You had at least, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 opportunities to take a profit of that level. And all you had to have done was entered the close of the first green candle after the open and never look back, right? This candle right here. What an amazing trade. If you took it, if you didn't, there were plenty of opportunities for other trades. For example, let's just take a look. At any point, we had multiple pullbacks, and none of them, I mean, not a single one of them until you got here, even would have suggested a move lower by creating new lows. You could call this candle here potentially, but that wick, I never would have even looked twice. But yeah, beautiful day on trading this. Hindsight is 2020, my friends, but think about it. On a big CPI news day, we had these moves. You had no reason to think otherwise. You look at the 15-minute chart, and this is what I call a picture perfect day. On anytime I see a chart that I can look at the 15-minute and it just there's a clear trend, that is what I consider a beautiful day. So, that being said, though, let's go ahead and hop over to the options side of things. This is going to be another beautiful trade entry, same kind of perspective, right? So, we're looking at ES on the left and SPY on the right. Now, on big news days, I personally tend to look at trading SPX instead of just SPY options. SPX moves greatly, and there's great opportunity to do so. So right here, I've got the 5875 contract. Let's pull up SPX really quick just to get an idea how things were looking at the open. We'll look at yesterday and today's price action, right? So in the pre-market, we had the CPI move, and when you look at that, obviously with SPX and SPY, you're not going to get as much data as you do with futures. For example, I have all this pre-market data to look at because futures is open 23/5, whereas the New York is only open from 9:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. So let's take a quick gander here. Now, on this first opening candle, you can see the candle opened way up here. It gapped up and then it went down and still closed red. But from that moment, this just was a beautiful trading day, right? Just pure up. You never had to look back again. So let's also break this down. I just kind of want to show how you too could have made anywhere from 3 to 600% on your contract today. So first candle down. This is the 1 minute chart, SPX, right? We're looking at ES as well, but over here's the 5 minute. Big candle down, doji green, never turned back. So what I like to see is big moves down that stop, followed by green candles. To me, this indicates the indecision in the market, and there's a good chance that the other side might be on the table. So, for example, if you had gotten in here, what are we looking at? 7:32. So that's 9:32 in the morning. On 9:32, these contracts would have costed you about $500 per contract. So let's just say you placed one contract you put on calls, and you never looked back. You would have literally put your stop loss somewhere, maybe I don't know, 480. Maybe you were going to risk $20 on the contract, on a $500 contract. That contract never, and I mean never, came back. There we go. Yeah. I mean, until near market close, it never came back. And 5875 was roughly right here. We were aiming for a move up to this level, give or take. And if we look, we got there in spades. So you could have taken a $500 contract, and even if you only held to this one spot right here, you would have made, what is this right here, 2713. You would have made roughly $2,200 on your contract. That excludes the price of the contract. $2,200 right here, and still you could have made 28, even up to $3,200. This is a 600% return on single contract. Let me put that in perspective for you. I don't know what size account you have, but if you would have held to the 27, right, let's just call it 27, that right there is a $2,200 return. What if you bought 5 of those, 5 contracts? Maybe you leveraged $2,500 in your account and held. That's $11,000 on one trade. You're not even risking $2,500. Who lets a position go to zero? Crazy people. That's who. But assuming you bought 5, maybe you risked $100 to $200 on that trade. Within the first, what is this? This is the 1 minute. So if we go to the 15-minute, if you would have held for a total of 45 minutes, maybe an hour, in the first hour, you could have walked away with $2,200 or $1,100 on the day with five. If you had purchased 10, you're talking about $2,200, $22,000 on a simple, what is that, $4,400, I'm sorry, $5,000 buy-in, not risk, buy-in, buying power used. Pretty impressive day. Yeah, there's not really much else to talk about today. Anyone who would have been buying puts or going short in this market, you would have been crazy. Huge bullish action previous day and the gap up before. Me personally, I would not have done that. So yeah, I'm going to keep this video extremely short today. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you like the content I'm offering, like, subscribe, let me know. I definitely love talking about the markets and the moves and reading how you could have made money. A lot of the people I work with, that I kind of teach mindset stuff to, they have a lot of questions about, well, how do you read this? How do you know what you could have made? And this is how you do it, right? You simply look at previous days and you say, hey, I probably would have traded based on this. Okay, cool. Mark it up, draw it out. What would your trade have made you? This is how you do it. So yeah, once again, y'all have a great day. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.